Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. Thank you for stopping in to the Nerdy Soccer Show. We have a good list of things going on right now, and the first thing that we have to talk about is what is going on in Ohio right now. Cucho gets transferred from Columbus. We'll start with Columbus here. Cucho gets transferred, not traded, to Real Betis. My takes on it, I think it's great for him. You know, that is a huge stepping stone for him. I'm excited to see what he does there, what he does abroad, and that was the next step in his career. Now, on the other hand, it sucks for Columbus. Cucho has been one of the best forwards, strikers in the league for a very long time. Not a very long time, but for the last couple seasons. And he has made a huge impact on Major League Soccer. And it sucks to see him go. As a fan of the league, I hate to see that he's leaving. But at the same time, I'm happy for him. Hopefully he gets playing time. Hopefully he gets minutes. And I am excited to see what he can do abroad, because he did come from MLS. Also, for Columbus, Ramirez gets transferred to LA Galaxy. So there is really no attack, in my opinion, right now for Columbus Crew. They have Diego Rossi. He can't do it by himself. Now, we have heard that they have asked Nancy about this situation, and he knows that things are coming in. He's saying that people will come in. He has people coming in. So right now, in my predictions, like I have to say, I am working on my predictions for this upcoming season, and that video will be available later, probably not next week, the week after, right before the season starts. But right now, Columbus has dropped in my list because of this. I think that Ramirez and Cucho have played a huge part in Columbus's success in recent years. So I don't know what's going on there. It sucks, but at the same time, kudos to Cucho getting the move. But yeah, Ramirez getting that transfer to the LA Galaxy, I think that's good for him. Hopefully he starts. He will have good players around him. And like, I can kind of see a scenario, depending on how long Puig is out for the Galaxy, you know, they can feed, Puig will feed Ramirez the ball. And I think Ramirez could score a lot of goals out there for the Galaxy because he has those guys around him. Because, it was the Cucho show and all that there in Columbus. And Ramirez started but didn't start. And then, like, those three, I always thought it was fun to watch those three play that attack. Ramirez, Rossi, and Cucho. They were exciting to watch. So it sucks for Columbus. Right now, they have dropped in my predictions for this season. Not going to give up where I have them at, though. And then, so we'll turn gears a little bit and go to the other team in Ohio. I don't know if you all seen or not, but Acosta has made a statement. And here I will actually bring up this statement if I can find my mouse here. And let's take a look, make sure that you can see it. Of course you can't. So give me 1 second here. Okay, so right here is what Acosta said. If my move out of Cincinnati occurs, it will be because of the general manager, he said in a statement. His frustrations after last game of the season was all because his issues with Chris had involved to a point that the locker room became too small for the two of them. He was very thankful for Carl and Jeff for providing me a lifetime opportunity to be the league MVP. And I won't sit here and read the whole thing, but I feel like a lot of you probably have seen this. He's saying the seasons, it's the same issue with the GM. He pushed away Assad, Kubo, Oriano, those kind of things. And it just, you want to take the player's side, but at the same time, like, we don't really know what is going on there in the locker room. I want to go with Acosta, but from other reports that I've heard and seen here in the social media is that this is something that Acosta does from time to time. I guess I don't 100% know, and I don't think any of us will never know because we're not in the locker room. But if that's an issue, and this GM at the same time, this GM has also brought in these players, and Cincinnati have been very successful. I believe Tom Bogert earlier on the Soccer Wiz, he said that they have been one of the top 3 teams or something like that in the last 3 seasons by point wise in the league, and that shows like the GM and the team that doesn't play, bringing in these players, that's a huge move for them, and they're winning. So there might be some truth here, and then there might not be. And I don't know whose side to take. I'd like to hear your all's opinion. What you think? Do you think that, if you've read up on this, I'm not sure if you have or not, but I think that it's hard to go one side or the other. But the GM, they're making moves to keep the team successful. Is Acosta really just wanting a way out but not upsetting fans because he really cares about them? I'm not sure. I'd like to know what you all think there in the chat. And also, thank you, Charles. Thank you, Angus, for stopping in, as always, to these live streams and stopping into the Nerdy Soccer Show. But that is what's going on in Ohio. Right now, it is crazy there with those 2 teams. I really hope... I like a lot of the Eastern. I like a lot of the teams. We know that. I want the league to succeed, and they are. They're doing. It's great. Hopefully, Columbus can bring in some players that really can almost automatically come in and replace Cucho. But obviously, Cucho can't be replaced. He was a special player, and I'm excited for him. But hopefully, they can get back on the winning track. And that's just like FC Cincinnati. I think, in my rankings and predictions for the season right now, FC Cincinnati's kind of down low because of some of this drama that's stirring up. We don't know if Acosta is going to leave or if he's going to come back. I think I talked about it the other day in one of the streams that he posted a photo that he was training by himself, but he still had a Cincinnati training shirt on. Who knows what that's all about? And I think he does. I think he does care about the city of Cincinnati and the fans and even the team. But you got to tell us what you really want, man. If you want out or if you really want to stay, you need to have a conversation with the team and with your general manager and all of that to get that taken care of. We'll see what happens, though, there in Cincinnati. So some other transfers we have. Basilic goes to Orlando. He comes from Croatia. He's a Croatian, so that's a big move for Orlando. I don't think we talked about it last week, or maybe we did. No, we talked about Miguel switching over to Atlanta. Lateloff, his contract is official. He is in Atlanta. I'm super excited for Atlanta. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant or talk about Atlanta right here for a second. I'm very, very much excited to see this team play. That front 4 it's going to be amazing with Lateloff, Almiron, Moranchuk, and Saba. That attack is going to be phenomenal. Don't know how long Brooks is going to be out. I have seen on their Instagram and other social medias where he is kind of participating in training, but I'm not sure if he's fully back yet with that shoulder injury. He was, they were playing, like the volleyball or whatever, but I forget I don't even know what that's called. But he was playing that today. So hopefully that helps, because that's what I'm worried about the most is the back line. I think Derek Williams will do a good job. He did a good job last year. If I can see potential in Gregerson, but he hasn't been all that healthy. He needs to get healthy, stay healthy, and I think that's what happened with him being inconsistent last season, is because of the injuries that he had. But I'm super excited for Atlanta, and this season, I'm excited, very excited for this season as a whole because of all the players that all these teams have brought in. Then some other huge news that we have had in the last week or so since last Thursday's Nerdy Soccer show. Jack McGlynn goes to Houston. Charles, if you're still in here, how do you feel about that? That has to be awesome. I think that's a huge pickup. Yeah, he's not the same kind of player as Carrasquilla, so they did lose Carrasquilla, but they're bringing in Jack McGlynn. McGlynn has a lot of potential. The Union did have some European offers, but they went ahead and sold to Houston. I don't know all of the details to that. But I'm excited. I'm excited for Houston to have a player like that. If they can build build around him a little bit, I think Houston has some upside. They also lose Hector Herrera, but he, in that last game that they played in the playoffs, him spitting at the ref, I believe that's what he did, is he spit at the ref. That's a no-go in my book. Yes, refs don't always make the right calls 100% of the time, and we get on refs, and I would not want to be a ref, but when you spit at a ref, that's crossing a line, and so I could see why. If there's probably more to it than that, but if it was my team and I had a player that did that, and it was his contract year, I don't really care who he is. I don't like that. That's very just disrespectful in my eyes, but he was a good player for them. Carrasquilla was good, but they bring in Jack McGlynn. I think if they can bring in a couple other pieces, Houston will be up in the top half of that, definitely in the playoffs there in the West. Staying there on the West, how about Sporting Kansas City? Sporting Kansas City getting Joveljic from the Galaxy, and then signing two players from the Greece first tier team, or top tier team, top tier league. I'm sorry, Salumenov, maybe that's how you say it, and Manu Garcia. I don't know too much about these two players, but they spent a good bit on them. And then, obviously, automatically with Joveljic coming in, that is a huge upside for Sporting Kansas City. And I could see Sporting Kansas City fighting for a playoff spot there in the West with these moves. We just don't know how good the defense will be for Sporting Kansas City. But the West has really, really stepped up here in the offseason. I think that they're really making a push, and I'm excited to see it. I'm excited for the season, that is for sure. Also, another breaking transfer that happened today, I believe, that is Tim Parker goes from New England on a free transfer to New York Red Bull. He is back there at the beginning, and what's funny is I saw a photo today where Red Bull was played against Atlanta years ago, and Tim Parker was was guarding Almiron, and it's cool that we're going to see that again this year. Sometimes I like when guys go back, and I think Tim Parker has done a really good job. I thought that Tim Parker did a great job in St. Louis. I really liked him for St. Louis. I know that Angus has said that there was locker room problems, and that was one of the things, the reason why he went to New England. But I think that that's a great move that he goes to New York, because the Revs, not that great of a team, even though they've made a lot of good signings here in the offseason, and I think they will be very relevant. Don't sleep on the Revs this season. So that's a plus side for them. But I'm excited for Tim Parker to be in the Red Bulls. I want to see the Red Bulls continue to do good and finish in those top spots there in the East. How are you, Arsenal fan? Yes, Sporting Kansas City, Joveljic, that's a huge pickup. And then also recently, Barriel from Cincinnati is going to Santos, so he's gone. That was one. And then really, Miami have been quiet, but they have signed some very good players that have a lot of potential, replacing some of the players that have left from Miami. And the Farsi has moved away from Miami. He has been transferred. I can't remember exactly where he transferred to. I believe it was in South America. So if I'm wrong about that, I am sorry. But then they bring in Maximiliano Falcone, and I think that's a good pickup for Miami. I still believe that Miami is going to be the top team in the league, and I think that they're going to do just as good, if not better, than what they did last season, even though they're playing in these other tournaments. They are in Club World Cup, which is happening this summer, and then also Leagues Cup. I think that's it, right? No, the Champions Cup. So they are in that one also. Even with playing in multiple tournaments, I think that they're still going to be one of the top teams there in the East. And speaking of them playing in Club World Cup, there was some rules and roster changes. I will say I did not get to look at this before I went live. I had other things to do, so I really didn't get to look through it all. So we are kind of looking through it together. And so here's some of the rosters. So the senior roster, up to 20 players occupying roster slots 1 through 20, count against a club's salary budget of $5.9 million and are referred to collectively as the club's senior roster. They're not required to fill the roster slots 19 and 20. Clubs may spread their entire salary budget across 18 senior players. So I guess that's a little bit of a change. I'm not sure what that was beforehand, but the club may have no more than 20 on its senior roster, subject to a season-ending injury. So the supplemental roster, I would say, is what they put in for these extra tournaments and stuff. And the salaries of players between 21 and 31 on the roster do not count towards the club's salary budget. But a club may have no more than 11 players on its supplementary roster. So slots 21 through 24 will be filled at the senior minimum salary of $104,000, which is crazy, which may include homegrown players. So it's also going to give an opportunity for the younger guys to get some playing time, which is good, in my opinion. Let's see here. It's saying like slots 25 through 30, and then 31 here. The slot 31 may be filled with a player on a season-long loan to a lower division club in the U.S. or Canada who is 24 years or younger during the league year. So that's going to give guys, it helps the roster fill in and, gives the younger guys some more opportunity to play. Because, with as many games that they are playing in these different tournaments and leagues, you're going to have to rest and give some of the other guys opportunity, which I think could be a good thing. And then they're just talking about the freeze dates, the primary windows and stuff have changed. So U.S.-based clubs, for the U.S. clubs, a domestic player is either a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident holding a green card. So that was one today that Nashville, I believe, Schaufelberg got his green card, so he doesn't take up an international spot, and that opens up an international spot for Nashville. And that's the thing, Nashville has not brought in a lot. Not a lot of movement there in the offseason, so they got to do something soon, because last year was a disgrace in my eyes for them, and they did not perform very well. But I know that there was some other things for money and general allocation, like they can't use general allocation money to a certain extent, and the designated players. And what it is from what Tom Bogert said and has that he talked about earlier today, is that it kind of helps out. It kind of helps out these teams that are playing in the extra tournaments to bring other guys in, but it's not a lot. It's not a lot of money, so you can't expect. I think it was like 700,000. Yeah, 743,000 extra like cash for it. And like he was saying in the Club World Cup, a player around that price is not going to help you beat an Atletico Madrid or a Milan team or any of those big clubs. So they're taking steps to go in the right direction, but something else has got to give, because it would be nice to see MLS sides be able to compete with these bigger teams, especially when it comes to the Club World Cup. And I think that they should go in actually trying to win. I don't want them to just be like, oh, well, we're here, we have players, but we're not good enough to, I would like to see us go in and say, we're going to upset, whatever team this is, because they were already saying, people were saying like Seattle Sounders aren't going to make it out of their group stage and all this. So I really hope that we are starting to take the steps in the right direction to help with that and be able to compete with the rest of the world. So that's my take on those changes. I need to read up some more on it. Maybe I'll touch base on that next week some more, if that is something that is interesting to everybody else to understand what all of this really means and for these roster and rule changes. So now we'll switch over to the U.S. Open Cup. So speaking of the other leagues and the other tournaments, I'm super excited for this U.S. Open Cup first round schedule, which is March 18th through the 20th. I guess I could have just stayed on my other screen here. So we kick off the tournament in this first round with Hartford Athletic versus New York Shockers there at 6:30 on March 18th. There's some really good teams in the lower leagues in this, and I'm very excited for them. But the biggest one I'm excited for is my team, Appalachian FC, playing against One Knoxville on the 19th. I do have a share in Appalachian FC, so I'm excited to be able to watch them and cheer for them in the U.S. Open Cup. That's what we all like. We have these lower league teams that we want to see compete, against each other and compete for a trophy, that they have a chance of playing against teams, from other leagues and some of the top leagues, League One, USL Championship, MLS. Like, I'm excited for this. I hope that we will be able to do some watch-alongs for these games. I'm going to try really hard to do Appalachian FC there on March 19th. I got to see what my schedule looks like, because that is over a month away for these matches. But I'm super excited for U.S. Open Cup. I'm really excited for all things this season for some reason. It's just I'm really excited for the season. I'm really excited about soccer here in the U.S. and where it's going, because we have the Club World Cup and then next year the World Cup. So things are ramping up and we're getting started. We just got started with CONCACAF Champions Cup the last couple of days and tonight. So tonight at 8, there's some more games. So if you have Fox Sports and stuff, tune into those. We had an upset last night, Real Esteli beating the team that they were playing, which I think it was Tigres. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm terrible with remembering. But yes, they beat Tigres 1-0 with a goal in the 83rd minute. So that's what I live for. I live for the upsets for these lower league teams. So out of these first 3 matches, these 3 match days, if there's games that you all want to see or do a watch along for, please let me know. Reach out to me. What do you think we should watch? Other than on Wednesday the 19th, we're definitely, if we can, watch it, Appalachian FC versus Knoxville. I hope that all these games, I think they're going to be on their YouTube channel. I'm not sure if they're going to be on some other kind of channel or broadcasting network or anything like that. But yeah, all different kinds of teams. some Florida teams facing off against each other, some New Jersey area teams. That's right, Kevin. Union Omaha are on there. We got Asheville City versus Greenville Triumph. South Carolina. You have a lot of these lower teams, brand new, straight out of the gate. AV Alta, that's a brand new team altogether, and to have them in the U.S. Open Cup like this, like that's exciting. I'm really excited for this tournament. Also, hopefully, I'll not hopefully, I'm going to do more coverage on the U.S. Open Cup this season compared to seasons past. I want to try to do as much as I can. Kevin, that's your USL team. Hey, my USL team's in it. I think they have a bye in this first match day for just round one. But the Riverhounds, they're in it this year also, I believe. So it's exciting. It's exciting for all of us. I think that we should talk more about the U.S. Open Cup, enjoy the U.S. Open Cup, because it's fun to see these teams that we wouldn't really hear about or talk about other than this tournament, or even know about them. Like, got the Richmond Kickers here playing against Virginia Dream, so some Virginia teams facing off. It's awesome, and then maybe there's rivalries that come out of it. It's super exciting. U.S. Open Cup is one of my favorite. I wish that I've watched it more in the past, but this year is going to change. We're going to cover it. We're going to do predictions. And it's super exciting, and I can't wait. Yeah, hopefully, I plan on also, I would like to, cover USL some more this season too. So we're going to try to broaden our view of just covering MLS to more of like covering US North America. I'll take the just US back, North America, because I want to, you cover those Canadian teams. I would like to cover the Canadian League, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself with covering too much and too quickly. I got to see what I can take on, but hopefully we can look at those lower league teams, cover some more USL this season on top of doing MLS. Like I said, this year is going to be exciting. I'm hoping for a great summer of soccer here in the U.S. Don't know about you all, but that's how I feel about it. So is there any questions from you all that you'd like me to answer? We'll open up like a Q&A maybe. But that's where we're at. That's pretty much all I have for this evening. Just cover the Canadian Premier League finals. Okay. So like the playoffs and stuff. I'm excited for them. I need to keep up with Pacific. I like their jerseys. I like what they were doing this past season. So I'm excited to see what they do this year. And when does their season kick off, Kevin? I'm trying to look on their website, but it's not showing anything. Just showing 2024. So they start in April. Okay. That still didn't help me. Oh, Kevin, that's a good question. The non-Atlanta player that I'm most excited for, I'm definitely excited to see what Zaha does there in Charlotte. I was really excited for that whenever I heard the rumors and stuff. So I'm excited to see Zaha there in Charlotte. That's the biggest one for me, I believe. Excuse me. I'm trying to think right off the top of my head who else has come into the league. Like I drew a straight blank after you asked me that. Like newcomers, because we did see, I am excited about other players, seeing them at other teams like Joveljic. How well is he going to do with Sporting Kansas City? or how good Ramirez is going to do out there in LA. But yeah, I'm excited for Zaha for sure. I think that he has a lot to bring to Charlotte and what he does. Sorry, I'm trying to look up some other things here. I'm excited. I don't think that. Yeah, a lot of the Miami pickups look interesting. Like they're not they didn't perform crazy for their last team, but at the same time they weren't bad. So I'm excited. Like I think that now that like I feel like the Messi craze is kind of over. I'm excited to see what Miami does. I will be. I know that not a lot of us are big Miami fans because of the way they have portrayed Messi and put him out there, and it's all Messi all the time. But I'm excited to see what Miami does in the Club World Cup if they can actually get some wins. Again, the defense is not great. The defense is not great, and they got to fix it. If they fix the defense, man, they'll be pretty unstoppable. Even though they were pretty much unstoppable last season in MLS, so their roster is 80% Argentine. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? But I'm excited for Luca De La Torre. I want to see him do well for San Diego. Also because he's a USMNT player, but I think that he could do well in the league if he approaches it correctly. I really don't think that San Diego is going to perform well this season in their first season. It's not going to be anywhere near what St. Louis did with theirs, but I can't see them. I don't even have them in the playoff talk in my predictions. So I will say that I will throw that out there unless they would bring in someone remarkable. It's just not happened. Yeah, they were unstoppable until Brad Guzan had the best games of his life. So do we have any other questions? I was hoping that Nashville would have some movement because I do like Mukhtar and I believe that he has a lot to offer the league and everything, but they don't give him anybody. So hopefully they can win some games. I would like to see them make the playoffs this season, but right now I don't feel confident in that. I just saw another player that I'm excited to see. He's not on the same team this year, and I can't remember who it was. And I guess we'll see how good Chucky Lozano does there in San Diego also. But I think that sucks we didn't have a co-host or another person on here. Uh, Hopefully we will next week. I feel like these go a lot smoother with having a guest or someone else on here. I'm excited for the season. I feel like I've said that this whole time, but I think we're going to go ahead and cut it short. I think we're going to end it here. And thank you all again for watching. Let me know if you ever have any questions, what you want to put on here, what you want to see in the Nerdy Soccer Show. I'm always open to hearing what you all have to say. But until next time, y'all have a good night.